got the call up to help my mate build a shed over on Great Barrier with the side of diving, so yeah, jumped at the chance, booked the time off, and off we went. The weather forecast was looking a bit rough, but hey, that wasn't a worry. We were working and diving on the island, so you've got multiple sides to choose from. If it's a bit windy and swelly on one side, you go to the other side, and vice versa, so all good. Sun was out as we came in. Really fun little flight on these small planes. Yeah, if you haven't been over on one of these planes, I highly recommend it. I had a good time. The other people in the seats next to me were basically shitting their pants though. Yeah, quite a laugh. Basically, as soon as we landed, we geared up and ripped into it, drove over a few hills and found the closest place for a shore dive. If you think this is a narrow, windy little road, this is probably the best piece of the road on the whole island. We're so lucky here in New Zealand, just such amazing coastlines and access to just the most beautiful spots for diving and any outdoor activities. Get out there and make the most of it. We hiked a few k's down the beach, tried to tuck out of the wind. It was quite exposed this day, but found a nice little corner and got in. Wasn't long before we got onto some nice crays. This time of year there was still some crays holding in the shallows, so didn't waste our time and tucked right into them.
Nice. Any more in there? Nah. Crazy, eh?
I thought I saw a big tail of a snapper just tuck in behind this cave, so snuck down really quietly. Thought I was going to get a shot on a big old moocher, but nope, just another big pregnant drummer. We were quite limited with sunlight hours, so just decided to grab a few crays, grab a few Paua for dinner and head on back home. It was only the first day, so no need to burn the bodies out. It was pretty hard to top the first night's dinner. Creamy Paua, big T-bone snake and fresh cray on the barbie. Anyways, next day we decided to get the boat out and shot over to the other side of the coast as it was a bit more sheltered from the wind and swell. With this bay having a nice hard sandy bottom, it provided us with a nice easy boat launch with the trusty old Scuba Outback getting the job done. So we made a group call to head out a little bit wide, a few kilometres off the coast, to a few islands there. If you know what you're looking at, you know it can really produce and fire on the day. Unfortunately on this day it was just really dark, cold water, bugger all current, so yeah, not a lot of fish life. Had a good look for some snapper over all the ledges and corners and whatnot, but nothing much was showing up. With nothing much really happening, decided to take this nice big pigfish, eating my kinner that I'd thrown down before. Yeah, put a shaft into him and was pretty stoked. It was a nice fish. He finally saw me. He tried to do a runner off into the kelp, but just managed to catch up in time and get him right behind the head there. Soon after reloading, I saw this big stingray coming in. Had his tail pointing up, so yeah, didn't like the look of him. Got the hell out of there fast. Same as usual, working between different spots, just checking over every little ledge, corner, you name it. There's always this snapper parked up somewhere when you least expect it. However, no snapper showed on this spot, but as soon as I got around the corner, there was a bit more current and some bait fish, and a lone kingy came in, which I got a shaft into.
Shit! I shot a king. He's in the weeds. I'm gonna try and swim him off the weed.
It wasn't the best shot, and the fish swam straight off into the kelp trying to reef me. Swimming as hard as I could, I finally managed to pull the fish out of the kelp bed and got my mate to swim down and make sure it didn't rip off as it came up to the surface.
Oh, it's only a rat. Oh well. Perfect size, ready for dinner.
Laid the fish as usual, then chucked it straight on the boat, straight into the ice.
This is the biggest pigfish I've ever shot there. Favourite fish, these are beautiful. Beautiful. Yeah!
Well, it wasn't really firing at any of the spots we'd been to, so we moved along the coast and cruised along, found a nice looking point, jumped in and had a hunt for some crayfish. Some very cool caves around this area, nice deep big cracks and plenty of crayfish. Put up a good fight this cray, didn't get him on the first try, had the special wiggle of the feet signal and my mate pulled me out of the crack. Good to have your buddy here for these caves. Excuse the bad language, just excited about the whole situation here.
Fuck, he would not come out, eh? He backed right in. Ripped both his fucking horns off, bro. Poor cunt.
Fucking had a good grip.
Bro, I had a fucking... He would not...
You were in there for a long time, man.
Yeah. I want to see the video.
Do you want to have one more look?
I'll have one more look.
Was looking all around the cave, I just couldn't find him, and then finally spotted him on the opposite side. He tucked into a little hole there. Round two, got him this time. As you can see, once again, got myself pulled out by Blondie by the feet. Yeah, another cray, a couple more, and we'll be done. Dinner sorted.
He'd fucking he'd crossed to the other side of the cave, and it's the same guy. Fucking prick, I got him. Yeah. Nice, man. Cheers. Yeah.
He's quite a nice cray too.
Just a nice little eat.
Yeah, we'll cook that for Neil's breakfast.
Oh,
I'll keep swimming around the island.
he fucking thought he'd do a run for me, yeah? So,
Like that cave deep, bro.
oh, that's cool.
Like I have to go in a couple of meters to get
Alright, next.
We're having a few people over for dinner that night, so thought we'd try one more spot and get a few more crays.
That's not happening. I don't want to sit up there. I need to get up.
Yeah, sit up. Have a look right here, mate.
There was heaps of good sign around, heaps of shitted shells, as this was in about November, December, only a few months after crays come up into the shallows to molt and whatnot. There were crays everywhere, quite a few, just not very big. We already had a couple, so just looking for a nice big fat cray really.
And there, he's gone too deep. He went right back up.
I've got a good one down here, but
Yeah.
like a female, eh? Double.
Bro, just chuck it, bro. We're gonna have.
Really stuffed it up on this one. It was quite a nice cray. Came in slowly, went hard for it, but yeah, sometimes they're just a bit too fast for you, nothing you can do.
Fuck.
If you do lose a nice cray like this one, don't give up. There's often multiple exit points on like a big rocky structure as such. That was why my mate Blondie went straight down, and I went straight back down after also, just to check if he'd come out the back end somewhere. I didn't find him now, but yeah, I did find him later on in the dive. Didn't get him on film, but yeah, it was a nice cray.
Oh well, next one. I thought I'd fucking be easy. Check this rock, man. That looks good.
My mate loves cray hook. Won't dive without it. I like to grab him by the hands, but hey, whatever works for you. Get yourself a feed. That's all that matters. It was just awesome cray country. This bit of coastline just filled with little caves and cracks like this. Really fun diving.
Big deep cave, I haven't even looked at it yet. Okay.
Man, there's a lot of those, you know, the little colours?
Yeah, bro, that's good.
I reckon there's going to be a kick.
Yeah, man, once that current pushes a bit over there, I reckon.
If you're looking for crays and caves and whatnot, a good little dive torch is just essential.
Is that torch hanging around there now? I think it might be on the side. Cheers.
I just love fighting crays, especially when they back up into their big hole and you just got to have a really good scrap with them. love it. If they've dug their claws in and you just can't rip them out, give them a shove inwards back into the hole and then rip back out, and often you'll be able to dislodge them from their crack or hole. This cray evaded me, got out the back somewhere, but my mate was waiting on the other side.
I don't think it was very big, bro.
Nah, back straight up.
Oh.
That's a female.
Alright, next spot.
And yeah, it's a bit like this. I'll just like this.
Fuck, this is fun, there's crays everywhere.
We managed to get a couple of crays each, I think 4 or 5. We'd all kind of promised our wives and girlfriends that we'd bring them home some crayfish, so we had enough for us for a couple of nights feed, and then we took a few home to keep the other halves happy. Yeah, mucked around after that in a cool little cave, and then we decided to move on to a scallop spot. It was a bit deeper and I was pretty burnt out by this stage, so chucked the scuba tank on, went down and got our limit of scallops, which was awesome. I only scuba dive probably about once a year, got all my tickets and whatnot, but yeah, you should go down for some scallops. It's not exactly the most exciting thing down there, so I just go for a bit of a gather. Took a few minutes to find the patch of scallops. Once I started seeing a few octopus holes with big mounds of shells, I knew I was getting close. And once we got on them, we were definitely on them. It didn't take long to load up. Beautiful sunset to finish off the day, a few cold ones, and we ended up tucking in for a bit of a straight line. Got a couple of snapper and called it a day. Had a big feast afterwards. We had a beautiful feed that night. Crays, crumb scollies, Paua, you name it, all on the table. What a feast. This next day I shot out for a solo kayak dive, tucked around a few corners down the coast, and yeah, not bad. Got a few crays, a few snapper, pretty rough, horrible conditions as like most of the trip, but got a good feed, and yeah, it's always good fun out there. Paddled down the coast, around a few corners, and found some nice looking country and jumped in. It wasn't long before I found a nice few cave networks, really good grey country. Had a really good tussle with this cray, just backed into this crack. I just couldn't quite get my hands around his horns. Yeah, had a few attempts at him, got 3 or 4 dives in this cave and just had to give up in the end. Got caught on the way up, nearly lost my flipper. Lucky it was good enough fizz and spotted it. I've been in the process of converting most of my guns to rollers. Just means you can have a nice short gun with loads of power and minimal recoil. Anyways, I had this little 75cm rod gun converted, and yeah, did a bit of a test shot on the drummer here and whacked it at a good range. Really happy with it. Burleyed it up, trying to bring in some kingfish or some snapper. Wasn't much around, a few pennies lurking in the distance, a few butterfish. I've already taken 1 or 2 previous dives, so left those alone. Yeah, just enjoyed my time down there. Must have been the bad moon or something, I don't know. About a week later, saw multiple reports of packs of about 50 to 100 kingfish just busting up the surface, bait schools and everything, all in the same area which I was diving. So anyways, that's fishing, eh? I was cruising along trying to find a nice spot to set a burley for snapper, and saw these two rays, mother and baby. That's pretty cool. Smacked up a few kinner and put a fish frame down and let it do its thing for a while. I set a couple of burleys, one on a really nice gut, just a perfect spot really, which just didn't produce anything, and this little funny ledge in about 2 or 3 meters of water had a few nice pennies on it, so crept over and whacked one. I shot the snapper a little bit low, as you can see, gut shot, and the poor fish ripped off. Luckily I saw where it just tucked into the little gut here, and managed to quickly reload and finish the job. Whether you're setting ground baits or snooping, which means just checking every rock, boulder, ledge as you're swimming along a piece of coastline, just keep searching for new spots. Snapper sometimes hold in really weird little bits of coastline which you wouldn't suspect them to be, so yeah, having patience and just keep trying new techniques. Every spot works different. Yeah, try figure out your local spot, and they're everywhere, so even some big ones close to major centres, so yeah, so just get out there and experiment. I found a nice little rock covered in kinner about an hour or two later, so smashed a few of them up and crept through the weeds here to find a nice few fish feeding on the kinner, and whacked one more over. The gun setup here is Rob Allen 120cm carbon, twin 14mm bands, micro hole, nice strong rubber with a 7mm shaft. Pretty much does the job for anything around New Zealand. Can just be a bit long if you've got really dirty water, so that's what my little 75cm and 100 rollers are for. A couple of crays, a couple of snapper on the kayak. These little cray nooses are really handy. You can just tighten them around the tail and let them just dangle in the water there, keep them fresh, keep them alive. Yeah. Seemed to be stingrays of all sorts all over the place on this trip. Not sure if it was the time of year or a healthy ecosystem, not sure. Pretty cool though. Cheers for watching, hope you like that one. If you've got any comments or questions, chuck them in the comments below, or tips for me. I'm always there to learn. I'm not an expert. Anyways, see you on the next video. Cheers.